Final score, Harrogate Town 1, Wrexham 0, and this was an avoidable catastrophe, in all honesty. All credit to Harrogate Town, they deserved it. We did not take our chances. We had a lot of chances and we had a lot of positions which we should have made more of, and that's on us. Harrogate defended superbly, struck from the set piece, battled constantly, did some interesting tactical things which had some success against us. And so although, overall you could say we had a lot more of the game than they did, it's all down to who takes their chances, and we didn't take any of our chances, sadly, and were punished as a consequence. Only a light rotation by Phil Parkinson, with Elliot Lee and James McLean on the bench, and Dan Scarr. But it was a very strong-looking side from Wrexham, and early on, you really felt that we were going to cause them awful problems. Those big diagonals being played to Ollie Palmer were terrifically effective. Palmer was winning almost everything in the air. He was making things stick. He was getting chances on goal, and he was laying chances off for others. Early as the 3rd minute, Cleworth, who was constantly pounding that diagonal, found Palmer. Great ball there. Palmer did well to run in behind the last defender. Just couldn't get proper power on his contact as he was entering the penalty area. And the chance was gone, but between a minute, there's another opportunity. This one, Barnett swinging the ball in, Palmer popping it back, and a really good strike by Mullin from just inside the box in a central position. An excellent save by the keeper, Belshaw. The ball goes back out. Barnett bangs it back in, and Palmer manages to get goal side of his marker, 6 yards out. The marker is pressuring him, and he makes contact with a volley. But it's difficult to make contact, and he can't keep it under the bar. It's a really good chance. It's close in, and he really hits it well, but can't quite control where it's going to go. So that's all in the first 4 minutes of the match. Wrexham are really putting pressure on. Another diagonal from Cleworth finds Palmer, who takes it on the chest, lays it off. Mullin has to hit it first time, hits it with the outside of his foot from just outside the box, and it whizzes past the left post. And in the 12th minute, again, nice build-up play. Revan on the left-hand side, working a nice 1-2 with Palmer, helping her on to Mullin, running down the left channel. It takes a shot, but it goes over the bar. Wrexham absolutely piling it on for about the first 15 minutes. And Harrogate find it really difficult to deal with it, in all honesty, but they start to settle into their groove, and they have a good spell around the 20th minute of possession in Wrexham's half, moving it around, and that culminates with the only goal of the game, 24th minute, and Stephen Duke McKenna, who I thought was terrific on the flank, whipped in a corner. He put a lot of whipped set pieces into the Wrexham box, and Jack Muldoon was able to come across in a crowded 6-yard box and head it past Okonkwo, who had no chance. Revan appeared to be the man picking up Muldoon, and once Muldoon just nicked a little half yard off him, Revan was trailing behind him, trying to grab hold of him, and just couldn't quite get into a position to challenge. So Wrexham go behind. We responded well and made more chances. Palmer with a fabulous goal out to the right-hand side. Barnett rips it back in. Palmer's followed it into the box and dives in to try and make contact with it. Really good piece of defending by Anthony O'Connor to head it away for a corner. A similar move as well. Barnett ripping it in. Palmer with a header that he just can't quite, again, get the power behind properly. And then in added time, Cleworth working it down the flank. Revan pulling the ball inside. Palmer on the edge of the area with a real chance, just a bit slow perhaps to get his shot off, or maybe Revan, who'd got into a great position, could have shot rather than passed, but as it is, Palmer does get a shot off around the penalty spot, which a defender does well to block. It takes the pace off it. So half time, Wrexham 1-0 down, on top of the game and making chances. Certainly not time to panic, but the second half continues with the same pattern. 4 minutes into the second half, Wrexham have a constant spell of about 2 or 3 minutes in and around Harrogate's box. Just can't get a break. Palmer maybe should have had a free kick in the D. Revan drives a ball across the face of goal. A couple of shots get blocked, and we just can't find our way through. And again, huge credit to Harrogate here. They settled into 2 banks of 4. Traditional, and it works. They are defending their penalty area furiously. And on the flanks, Taylor and Duke McKenna are really working hard. Duke McKenna in particular, it seems to be two of him. Whenever we're attacking, he's back doubling up on Barnett. Whenever they're attacking, he seems to be ahead of the ball, making runs into space. Taylor on the other side, maybe a little bit more attack-minded, but Wrexham didn't get as much going down the left as down the right. But like I say, Harrogate's energy and determination was superb. Then it's a great ball from O'Connor, picking out Barnett, but he cuts in, can't keep his shot down. A big moment in the 52nd minute when Wrexham released, thanks to some excellent hold-up play in his own half by Mullin, a 3-on-1 chance. He feeds it in to Ryan Barnett, driving through the middle of the pitch. It's a 3-on-1 break, and he plays the right pass. He rolls Dobson, and maybe the pass takes him a fraction wider than he'd have wanted, but he's 1-on-1. The defender gets across and Dobson drives in the shot, and it's saved well by the feet of Belshaw. Massive, massive moment for that, not being able to take advantage of a 3-on-1 break. There's another chance then at the other end for Harrogate. Duke McKenna cutting inside and hitting a great shot, trying to curl it inside the far post, can't quite manage it. Although the goal and that and a self-inflicted problem late on are all that I've deemed worthy of mentioning from Harrogate in an attacking sense, they did have a good threat on the break. Well, basically, since they scored the goal that they scored. So I'm not trying to disparage them. We dealt with the breaks fairly well, to be fair, apart from a couple. But yeah, they were really fair play going for it. 59th minute, we made triple substitution. Rathbone, Palmer, and Revan come off. Elliot Lee, both of us on for his debut, and James McLean come on. In a way, shame he took Palmer off, because I think he was getting somewhere, although he hadn't taken his chances. Buzzers was interesting, though. I'll get to him later on. Wrexham again continue. The pattern's now chance after chance. Cannon does well to win a header. Mullin flicks it on nicely, and Buzzers on running down the right channel takes a great touch and drills a shot just over the bar from inside the box. Good first introduction for him. Then it's Mullin again, because now, of course, Wrexham have got a lot of power on that pitch, and he's dropping off and trying to create, working it wide. Barnett with another good cross. McLean comes in, free header about 7 yards out of the far post, puts it just wide. A downward header. It was a funny one. It was a slightly unorthodox angle he ran in at. He was running parallel to the 6-yard line from the far post. And so he then has to try and somehow get his neck around it and head it down. And, if it had been just inside the post, Belshaw wasn't going to get to it. It's a big, big chance. It's a slightly unorthodox way that he had to go for it. Then Cannon again winning a good header on the edge of the box for Budvarsson, who sets himself nicely about 8 yards out and makes great contact with a scissors volley. But the keeper again gets down well, Belshaw, and makes a good save. With 15 minutes yet left, Phil Parkinson does something he hasn't done much since we left the non-league, and he goes into full kitchen sink throwing mode by going to 4 at the back with that midfield diamond that until last season we were very familiar with. Mo Farrell comes on to replace Tom O'Connor, and we've now got Farrell and Buzzers on up front and Mullin playing in the pocket behind them. 11 minutes to go. Nice patient move ends with Barnett ripping the ball in. It's a great ball. He picks out Farrell at close range. I got to admit, at the time when I saw it, he just misheaded that. It's a hell of a chance, and he somehow manages to head it wide and over. Looking at the replays, to be fair, maybe it's just come a bit high, and he's having to try and stretch and control it. But otherwise, it's a header at goal inside the 6-yard box. It's another chance. There is an opportunity for Harrogate to bury the game. An uncharacteristic slice of the ball by Dobson. The ball drops in the box. Following looks to be 1-on-1 with the Conquo. O'Connell comes across and lunges in. For my money, and having looked at it again, I haven't really changed my mind. It's a penalty. He takes the man. He's trying to get the ball, but he doesn't make it. It's a desperate challenge by him to save us. But the referee's right there, and he decides that it's not a foul. He lets the physio come on to treat Following. Yeah, interesting if he doesn't think it's a foul. And he doesn't book Following either, which, I think it's a penalty. I'm not trying to accuse Following of anything, but if the ref really thought that Following went down like that deliberately to buy a foul, surely he should book him. Very strange decision. Anyway, Wrexham get the benefits of that, but we only really carve out one more moment of danger, and it's an interesting one to say the least. 5 minutes left, and Wrexham pressuring. McLean cuts inside into the box. onto his right foot, sweeps the ball in. Elliot Lee lunges at it, gets a flick with his head, and it goes to the far post where Mo Farr lunges in and scores. Wrexham briefly celebrate and then see the flags up. Is he offside? There's no definitive angle. From we've only really seen a couple of extra angles. He looks offside to me. It looks fairly tight, so maybe we're a bit unlucky. Maybe if Lee hadn't touched it, he'd have been onside when McLean put the initial cross in. But then if Lee hadn't touched it, would it have dropped for foul? I suspect not. So I think the ref's linesman has just about got that right. Sort of one that they can make mistakes with. So in that regard, we're unlucky, but not unlucky in any other sense. Harrogate battled, defended superbly, hit us with a set piece, hit us on the break. And they deserved it. Their fans were terrific, as were Wrexham's. I've got to say, it was a wonderful atmosphere. And Wrexham's fans stuck at it till the end and applauded their team at the end of the match when they went off. So the Wrexham fans were superb and stuck with it. And Harrogate did too. Fair play. And good luck to them in the Cup. Let's hope they have a nice long run and really enjoy themselves. But yeah, Wrexham got the FA Cup. First time we've lost to a lower division team in a cup competition. Wait for it. Since Harrogate beat us in the FA Trophy. That was when Dean Keats picked an understrength side because we were looking for promotion. And the last time that we lost to a lower division team in the FA Cup was Stanford. Remember that? Real painful days they were. 2015. Gary Mills' hodgepodge of a squad, and then he'd walked away and Keats was caretaker manager trying to steer us away from trouble. It was his second game. The first two games were Stanford away and at home, and I think I gave him a big picture of what he'd inherited, I think, to be honest. Let's look at today at the actual Harrogate game and the performances of the players. Conquo didn't have much to do. He had a funny little moment when Harrogate broke away. Well, we had a set piece and we had everybody up. It was quite near the end of the game. So Conquo, quite rightly, took a very high position. When Harrogate cleared, he retreated when I think he really should have come forwards and just got to the ball. And that led to a dangerous moment which the defence were able to snuff out. But apart from that, he had nothing to do. Good handling. No chance with the goal, to be fair to him. Across the back, Cleworth had a real duel when Duke McKenna was cutting in, and also with Muldoon. Muldoon was very good up front for Harrogate. He's such an experienced player. Always seems to play well against us. His performance, I thought, broke into two halves. The first 50, 60 odd minutes, he was backing in, incredible nuisance, and the ref was allowing it and was happy. Cleworth was troubled by it, understandably, because Muldoon was doing it well. Andy Morell in commentary said that we needed to defend higher up the pitch to stop this being a problem. Meet the ball in the air rather than let Muldoon back in. But the referee seemed to suddenly change his mind about Muldoon, because Muldoon was pulling Cleworth all over the place, and Cleworth, I'm sure, was as well. And that was why he was causing Cleworth a little bit of a problem. And the referee, after about 50 odd minutes, I think, just suddenly thought, well, actually, he's fouling there, and he kept giving fouls against Muldoon, and that made life easier for Cleworth. He put some good passes forwards as well, Cleworth did too, and deserves credit for that. In the middle of defence, O'Connell again was battling well and when needed, and stepped in when needed as well in midfield. And likewise O'Connor, who, okay, I see why they sacrifice him when we go four at the back, because we're only playing two centre-backs when we need the robustness of O'Connell and Cleworth, plus of course they can be good on set pieces. Not that O'Connor isn't, but I thought he had a good game actually. He dealt well with the physical challenges and passed the ball forwards and got forwards nicely. The wing-backs, I think Barnett, just about our man of the match, put a lot of balls in the box with good quality on them, even though he was getting doubled up on. He didn't tear them apart like he can do, but he put an awful lot of crosses that deserve to be met. So I thought he did all right, and he led that break and played the right pass, put Dobson in. On the left-hand side, Revan was a bit in and out of the game. He certainly wasn't as involved as Barnett. He had some promising breaks, though, and did set up a couple of chances. In the centre of midfield, Dobson started superbly, really bossing the game when you thought, this is one of these days he's going to really put his imprint on the match. But once Harrogate got back into things in midfield, he had less sort of control of it. He still kept going, and when we were pushing forwards in the second half, he was really involved in trying to keep missed moves together, but he didn't quite impose himself at that latter stage of the game as he has done in the early part. Cannon was ferocious and, again, really battled hard, won an awful lot of 50-50s in the Harrogate half, especially as we were pressuring them. When we were playing it in and they're getting it clear, he's the one winning that, getting that first contact and putting it back in there again. So I enjoyed Cannon. He worked hard. He found it a bit harder to get meaningful passing relationships going at Barnet because Harrogate had the 2 players back, and that just slowed us down a touch. I think often we're used to creating an overload on that side through Barnet's pace and getting support, but Harrogate did a good job of doubling up on that side, although Barnet's quality on the ball still meant he got a lot of crosses in. And then the other midfielder, Rathbone, well, he worked ever so hard. Classic Rathbone. When you look at it, he's plays quite a good continuity role when we're on top, working little passes forward, just in transition, just moving the ball on. But he didn't get a grip of things like he can do as well, and so he was substituted. Palmer, I thought, did well, but the finishing wasn't happening for him. He was giving them problems in the air. He was holding the ball up really well. Like I said, I was surprised he came off so soon. But he had a solid game, I thought, Palmer. Maybe better than that, to be fair. And alongside him, Mullin. Mullin missed a couple of decent chances, which he was so frustrated with, and he's clearly not quite up to speed yet. But his creativity was good. When he dropped into the point of the diamond, he was prompting. He was doing that before then, to be fair. He teed up some good opportunities, but he just couldn't get his finishing right, which was, it'll come for him. He's been through a lot physically in the last 2 years, and we saw it happen last season when it started to click again, and it will do again at some point this season, no question about it. As for the substitutes, well, McLean had a big impact on the left-hand side. We had more threat on the left once he was on, and he was having a go at the full-back and getting on the end of crosses when they came in from the other side as well. Good energy from him. Picked up a yellow card. Natch. Lee had some good touches, didn't quite get into the game as much as McLean, but had again a couple of nice touches in and around the edge of the box, trying to move it on to a player in a better position. And Buthers on that, I like the look of him. I mean, remember, he hasn't played since April, and he's only been with us for a week. You can see there's something of quality in there. His movement's good. He gets frustrated if you watch him if he doesn't get early service, and that's something we'll be looking at, because his movement's good. He's constantly moving around his marker, just trying to find that little edge that's just creeping either side of him. He was looking to hold the ball up well, made a couple of good headers as well, one in duels with the centre backs, and had that good effort from a scissors kick. He's one to watch. I think he could be very, very interesting for us. And then Mo Farrell, again, 3rd game in a row, he's come on and he's battled like heck and caused problems with the centre-backs. Unlucky with the disallowed goal. But that's the way it goes. So, Wrexham are out of the FA Cup. We were always all about the Bristol Street Trophy anyway, weren't we? We go again on Saturday. That's a big game again against one of the teams just below us. Let's see if we can put that together. Right, I'm going to cheer myself up now by recording the podcast for the women's game at the Rock. The final score of Harrogate Town 1, Wrexham 0. I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.